The premise of the OnlyFans chatter scam is simple and devastatingly effective. The personal connection you paid for was never real. The story of the Blue site promises authenticity and intimate one-on-one dialogue with the creators whose spicy content you subscribe to. That is the expectation. Fans are sold on the idea of a direct, unfiltered line to the people they admire, believing they are part of a small, exclusive circle. This supposed personal relationship is what drives the emotional investment and, crucially, the financial spending on the platform. But the brutal, business-driven reality currently being exposed in a massive class action lawsuit is that for a substantial portion of subscribers, the person on the other side of the private message is a paid, anonymous employee following a script, trained to exploit that emotional connection for maximum profit. This is the reality we are peeling back today. We're going to follow the money, break down the psychological manipulation, and uncover the platform's alleged role in enabling what one lawsuit calls a widespread scheme of fraud. Over the next few minutes, we'll answer 3 critical questions that cut to the core of this multi-billion-dollar industry. First, what exactly is a chatter, and how does this digital deception actually work? Second, why do the biggest creators and the platform allow this kind of manipulative practice that risks their entire brand? And finally, how much money is truly at stake for the platform and the shadowy management agencies that profit from this fraud? We'll be showing evidence from leaked scripts, legal filings, and financial reports that paint a picture far colder and more calculating than the bubbly online persona you think you know. Right now, the most shocking angle isn't the final price tag, but the sheer cold-blooded strategy of the operation itself, which directly answers our question about what a chatter is and how the deception works. This whole system runs on what insiders call the chatter playbook, a detailed set of instructions designed to manufacture and exploit the emotional vulnerability of fans. According to detailed information presented in the class action complaint filed on July 29, 2024, the goal of the chatter isn't just to sell pay-per-view content, but to build an emotional rapport that mimics an intimate or romantic relationship. The evidence suggests that chatters are recruited by management agencies who promise creators the ability to make money in their sleep by handing off all direct fan interaction to a fleet of trained, often low-cost employees. The agencies market this service as a necessity for scaling a creator's business, claiming that no single person can handle the volume of messages required to maximize revenue. These employees, who are often working remotely from international locations, are given a creator's background information, talking points, and in some cases, a highly detailed personality profile to maintain the illusion. The legal documents describe chatters being coached to ask intimate, personal questions to establish a sense of deep connection, questions about the fan's day, their dreams, their problems, and their dedication to the creator. This is a crucial step, building emotional equity before asking for a financial investment. Chatters are taught to use manipulative tactics that prey on psychological biases, identifying the most emotionally invested targets, the ones who seem the loneliest, most dedicated, or who overshare personal information, and then escalating the spending. One former industry insider, speaking to Wired magazine in March 2025, described the process as being given a set of red flags to look for in subscribers: signs of loneliness, isolation, or a tendency to confuse content consumption with actual emotional closeness. Once these flags are identified, the chatters pivot from general conversation to more emotionally charged exchanges designed to lead to high-value tips and expensive pay-per-view messages. This system is not random. It's a high-pressure, scripted sales process. For example, a chatter might be instructed to feign distress, claiming they need a certain amount of money for a fictional emergency, or they might engage in upselling by suggesting a fan's loyalty deserves an exclusive, personalized piece of spicy content that costs significantly more than the standard rate. The fan believes they are coming to the creator's aid or receiving a unique piece of attention, while in reality, they are interacting with a trained, anonymous sales agent. This turns personal interaction, the core promise of the platform, into a manufactured product, driven not by authentic engagement, but by a detailed, scripted scripted sales funnel. The complaint against the management agencies highlights specific training documents that allegedly outline these psychological tactics in detail, showing management's explicit awareness and endorsement of the manipulative nature of the messaging. This deception is why the lawsuit alleges fraud and breach of contract. For the management agencies, the payout is obvious. They can scale a single creator's interaction across multiple employees working 24/7, maximizing revenue and taking a cut of 30 to 50%, all while the creator themselves is minimally involved. But this leads us to the most staggering number in this entire story, and the real reason why this practice has been allowed to fester for so long. The most shocking reality is the astonishing financial scale of the operation and the platform's alleged complicity, which provides the answer to why the practice was allowed to continue. We have to ask, if the platform's own rules strictly prohibit this kind of mass impersonation and third-party management of fan accounts, why wasn't it stopped? The class action lawsuit filed against the platform and multiple management agencies alleges that the primary reason for this failure is the platform's massive financial gain. The platform takes a fixed 20% of everything creators earn on the site. Now look at the public financial data. The platform's annual revenue has soared into billions. Per a report on the financial status of the company for the fiscal year ending November 30th, 2022, the platform generated over $1 billion in revenue. A substantial, though unconfirmed, portion of that revenue comes from the chat function, which is the exact area allegedly driven by the deceptive chatter activity. The lawsuit explicitly states that the platform not only knew about the agencies employing these tactics, but failed to enforce its own policies because it was profiting directly from the scheme. The complaint alleges that the platform even co-hosted events with at least one agency defendant accused of running these chatter scams, suggesting a deeply integrated relationship. Think of the analogy. This isn't just one person selling counterfeit goods, it's an entire marketplace allowing counterfeit goods to be sold at massive volume, because the marketplace gets a percentage of every fraudulent transaction. The legal filing suggests that the platform's alleged inaction was a deliberate choice to prioritize profit over policy enforcement, effectively turning the platform into a knowing beneficiary of the deceptive practices. If a management agency can use a low-paid chatter to squeeze an extra $1,000 out of a fan each month, the platform automatically earns $200. Multiply that by thousands of chatters and hundreds of creators, and the financial incentive to look the other way becomes clear. In fact, a separate but related class action lawsuit filed in February 2025 also alleged anti-competitive behavior, where the platform was accused of working with social media companies to blacklist creators who promoted rival services like Fansly. This allegation suggests a focused effort to maintain a monopoly, not just on the spicy content itself, but on the creators and, most importantly, on the fans and their wallets. The financial reality answers our second question. The practice is tolerated because the alleged deception has been a massive, if hidden, driver of the platform's billion-dollar success. But what happens now that the curtains have been pulled back in court and the legal process is underway? The unraveling of this entire operation is tied up in the ongoing legal fallout, which determines the amount of money truly at stake. The class action lawsuit is not just naming the platform, it has explicitly named several of the largest management agencies in the industry as defendants. These include entities like Boss Baddies LLC, Moxie Management, Unruly Agency LLC, also doing business as Disrupt Agency, and Content X Inc., among others. This directly answers our third question. The money at stake is the hundreds of millions of dollars that fans allegedly spent while communicating with these impersonators. The complaint explicitly states that the total damages sought could exceed $1 billion, a figure based on the aggregate amount of money spent by fans who can prove they were communicating with a chatter and not the creator they believed they were supporting. The plaintiffs are not just seeking to stop the practice, they are seeking compensation for the alleged losses suffered by fans who were manipulated into spending large amounts of money under the false belief they were talking to the creator directly. The sheer number of defendants and the detail in the complaint underscore the argument that this isn't just a few bad actors, but a widespread systemic issue across the Blue Site's business ecosystem. The suit alleges that the chatter's communications involved massive breaches of confidentiality and severe privacy violations because intimate or personal information shared by fans with the supposed creators was actually being handled handled by unauthorized third parties. For the average subscriber, the realization that their vulnerable personal interactions were simply another line on a spreadsheet for a remote employee is arguably more damaging than the financial loss itself. The platform itself has been publicly silent on the specifics of the case, as is often the strategy in high-stakes litigation. However, they continue to defend their safety protocols and content moderation, and any explicit admission of guilt is highly unlikely. Legal cases like this take years to resolve, but simply having the names of these top agencies and the platform itself attached to allegations of fraud, misrepresentation, and psychological exploitation creates a major crisis of trust for the entire industry. This legal action forces a fundamental reassessment of the creator-fan relationship model that the platform is built on. The core business model, the promise of authenticity, has been severely compromised. The outcome of this case, whether settlement or trial, will redefine the legal liabilities of platforms that host creator content and the agencies that manage their back-end operations, setting a precedent for the entire online creator economy worldwide. In summary, the narrative sold to the world was that the Blue site gave creators power and fans genuine connection. The reality, as alleged in the court filings, is that for a huge number of subscribers, that connection was a scripted performance, a financial trap engineered by management agencies and allegedly enabled by the platform's desire for a massive 20% cut. We've seen how the chatter is a psychological sales agent, carefully trained to exploit vulnerability, how the immense financial incentive made the platform allegedly complicit by ignoring its own rules, and how the class action is now forcing the entire industry to confront a billion-dollar question of fraud and broken trust. The ultimate takeaway is a crucial piece of insider knowledge about the industry. When a platform's business model depends on scaling authenticity, that is precisely the moment you should assume the authenticity has been outsourced, monetized, and turned into a pure, relentless sales funnel. This scandal proves once again that in the adult industry, the most dangerous business is rarely what you see on the screen, but the hidden contracts, the backroom deals, and the fine print that manages to turn human connection into a predictable, exploitable financial product. If you want to dive deeper into the hidden financial structures and shadowy agencies that dominate the adult content economy, you absolutely need to watch the videos in our Velvet Rope Industry Secrets playlist linked in the description. Click there next to understand how the entire game is played behind the curtain.